Hello dear students, I hope you are good, I hope you are well and you are well inside your home. I hope you are safe and your family members are also safe. As you know, we cannot continue in offline classes, in regular classroom classes, and that's why we are trying to put a video lecture series on YouTube so that you can revise your lectures whenever you want. Okay. Already we are running the Zoom classes, and the Zoom classes, online classes, live classes, interactive classes. In those classes, you need to ask, you need to be present, you need to ask your questions if you need, if you have any doubt. But if the previous lectures are missed because of some reasons, you can revise your lectures from here. Okay, this is the going to be the second part of the video lecture series. First part I have already uploaded on the YouTube. It is in the playlist of class 12 science. In the bracket session is written 2021-22. You can search for our channel Divine Public School Mohanapur Gorakhpur, and in that very channel you will be finding a playlist, and the playlist the physics video is there. Okay, so I'm trying to put a video on the daily basis so that in a very well period of time I am cope up with the lectures which are going online, okay, on the Zoom classes. So in the last video lecture, if you must have seen, if you have not seen, please go and watch. If you have seen, then it's quite okay. We have seen the image formation by a plane mirror by a point object. Okay, what we have observed, that the distance, let me make a diagram so that you get a reminder, not reminder actually, just a recall of the content we have studied is that time. Say this is your object, this is a plane mirror, one ray of light perpendicular to the mirror, it retraces its path, another ray of light falls like this, it gets reflected like this. So if we extend this reflected ray and this reflected ray, they forms a image here. Okay, that we have studied. We have also studied that the distance of the object from the mirror means this distance. Say this point is A, so AO is always equal to AI. Okay, that can be proved by using a simple geometry that I have explained in the last video lecture. Today we are going to study if in front of a mirror an extended object is kept, then how the ray diagrams are made. We are going to do that. Okay, so let us start. So the second case is an extended object. An extended object. If an extended object is kept in front of a mirror, how the ray diagram is going to be made? Let us see. So this is your plane mirror. Okay. Let this be an axis. On axis, say one object is there. Object is AB, right? So this for AB we need to make a ray diagram, and we need to see the image of AB in the mirror. How we are going to see? So let us make the image of point B. So first of all, a ray which falls on the mirror perpendicularly. So if it falls perpendicularly, what happens? It retraces its path and it goes on its own path. This is called principle of reversibility. You must be knowing that if on a plane mirror, if a ray of light falls perpendicular to the plane mirror, it retraces its path. And it does not happen with plane mirror only, it happens with all the reflecting surfaces. If the ray of light falls perpendicular to that surface at that particular point, then what happens? The ray of light retraces its path. This is called principle of reversibility. So ray of light retraces its path. Another ray, suppose, falls on this point. So what happens? From here, the ray of light is reflected back like this. So if we extend these reflected rays behind the mirror, where we are going to have the image of B, somewhere here. So this is image of B and it is called B dash. Okay. Now let us make the ray diagram for A. So for A also, one ray falls perpendicular on the mirror, and if it falls perpendicular on the mirror, it retraces its path. Another ray parallel to this one from A. falls on the mirror. Obviously, if the incident rays are parallel to each other, then the reflected rays are also parallel to each other. So the reflected ray will be like this. Okay. If we extend this reflected ray behind the mirror and this reflected ray behind the mirror, they will cut somewhere here. So this is the image of A dash. This is the image of A called A dash. So for each point of AB, for this point somewhere image will be formed here. For this point somewhere image will be formed here. For each point of AB, there will be an image, and image will be something like this. So this image is going to be what? A dash, B dash. Okay, A dash, B dash. Again, by using a simple geometry, we can prove that the size of AB and the size of A dash, B dash are same. Moreover, the distance of the AB from the mirror, perpendicular distance, and this distance from the mirror should be same. Is it clear? So this is how we make ray diagram for an extended object. So two examples we have seen. One example was of point object. So point object was like this. So if the ray diagram, if I make the ray diagram, because some conclusions I need to be drawn. Okay. So what happens if we extend the rays? We have done this case already. This is your image. In both the cases, if you are able to see for a point object, for an extended object, both the cases images are virtual. So a conclusion comes in our mind that a plane mirror always forms a virtual image, which is not correct actually. Plane mirror can form real images also. Plane mirror can form real images also, and let me give you an example. If a plane mirror is like this, okay, suppose this is the axis, okay, two rays of light, they falls on the mirror like this. Rays of light are coming from some source, coming from some anything, okay, they falls on the mirror like this. So what happens if we simply apply the laws of reflection? Then from here the ray of light is reflected like this, from here the ray of light is reflected like this. So we get a real intersection of reflected light. So here that image will be called a real image. Image will be a real image because rays are intersecting each other in reality. But when we extend the incident rays behind the mirror like this, what we get? We get a virtual object. See, I am not extending this case, and this case. This case and this case are kind of similar, but this is a different case. Here I have extended the reflected rays. I have extended the reflected rays behind the mirror, and here I have extended the incident rays. So the virtual intersection of incident rays causes a virtual object. Here that object is virtual object. Object is virtual, but the image is real. Here the object is real and the image is virtual. So for a plane mirror, one conclusion is there, and that conclusion is, if object is real, image is virtual. Image is virtual. But for virtual objects, image is real. Is it clear? If object is real, then image is virtual. If object is virtual, image is real. The ray diagrams are in front of you. Okay? The second conclusion we need to draw is the distance, image distance and object distance are equal. Image distance and object distances are equal. Image distance from the mirror and the object distance from the mirror, they are equal. They will be equal in all the cases. This case, and this case, all the cases. Okay, in this case also, from the plane mirror object, from the plane mirror image, they both are at the same distance. Third one, object size and image size. they are also same. Object size and the image size, they are also same. Okay, this is the third conclusion. In all the cases, whether in this case or this case, whenever an image is formed by a plane mirror, the object size and the image size both are always same. The fourth thing, and a very important thing, for plane mirror, there is a case which is called lateral inversion. Lateral inversion. In images, we see lateral inversion. What is that lateral inversion? Always, often you, if you see yourself in a mirror, a full size mirror, or not only face, a full size mirror, so your right hand appears to be left hand of the image. Okay, your left hand appears to be right hand of the image. Is it clear? So this is called lateral inversion. When you raise your right hand, the image, the virtual image, what you are looking at, will be raising its left hand. Okay, so this is called lateral inversion. In a simple language, if this is a plane mirror and this is an English letter capital R, so this R will appear in the plane mirror like something like this. Size will be same. Okay, size will be same, everything will be same, but this R will be laterally inverted, and this R is the, the R we are seeing normally. So this is called lateral inversion. One is inverted image. One other aspect is inverted image. That is the different thing. When this object is this and image is formed like this, this is called inversion. When I say lateral inversion, so this you can say holder is this side. When you see in this mirror, it will be looking like this. Okay, this side appears this side. So this is called lateral inversion. I hope you have observed yourself in the mirror. Okay, so these are the fourth conclusion we draw about plane mirror. The first thing is, if object is real, image is virtual, but for virtual objects, the image is real. Second thing is, image distance is always equal to object distance. Third thing is, object size and image size are equal. Fourth thing is, there is lateral inversion. That lateral inversion means the right hand side of the object appears to be left hand side of the image, and vice versa. Okay, so this is all about plane mirror, and I hope you must have studied these things in your class 10th also. Let us extend our knowledge a bit. And let me allow to give you something which is related to the competitions. Okay, although it is not that very depth, it is a very common thing. It is related to your common sense only. Okay, I'm not going in very depth, but sometimes we see these kind of questions in our books also. Like, suppose if there is an object from the plane mirror, let's see this distance is 10 meter, then obviously its image will be formed at a distance 10 meter only, right? Okay, very good. Now suppose if object starts moving towards the mirror with a speed of 2 meter per second. So what will be the speed of image with respect to the mirror, and what will be the speed of image with respect to the object? Obviously, if object covers a distance of 2 meter in 1 second towards the mirror, image will also come towards the mirror with the same speed, because that distance should remain same always. So speed of image with respect to mirror will be 2 meter per second. But the speed of image with respect to object, they both are moving in opposite directions, and by applying the concept of relative speed, you can already understand, you can easily understand that the speed should be 4 meter per second. They are in opposite direction, the speed should be added. So the speed of image with respect to object is 4 meter per second, while the speed of image with respect to mirror is 2 meter per second only. Okay. So this is how this speed problems are resolved. Okay. Now let me introduce the spherical mirrors. Spherical mirrors. Spherical mirrors. Okay. Now what are spherical mirrors? First of all, what is sphere? A sphere is a geometrical shape, 3D shape. Okay. The shape of a football is a sphere. Okay, when I was studying in the classes, I was very much confused between a sphere, a disk, and a sphere and a disk. Basically, the confusion is confusion is there between two. Disk is that something which is two-dimensional, right? This is something which is two-dimensional. A DVD or a CD is a disk. It is a disk. Its thickness is negligible in comparison to the other parameters. While a sphere, it is something like football. Okay, it is something like football. So the sphere is quite different from the disk. Now, if you need to imagine that there is a football made of glass, transparent glass. Okay, there is a football made of glass, and that too with transparent glass. Okay, it is transparent, right? And that too hollow also. It is hollow and it is transparent. Okay, what you need to do, you need to cut a small section like this from here. Okay, so this is the surface of football, this is surface of football, and you have cut a small circular section, a small circular piece, and it is to be taken out. So when you see it from front, it will be looking like this. Okay, but when you see by cross section wise, like what is cross section wise, like suppose if you are looking at from the front, you'll be seeing a rectangle shape, but if you are looking like this, you'll be seeing a straight line only. Okay, so if you see it from the front, what you'll be looking at, it will be a circular in shape. But when you see it from the sidewise, when you see it from the side, what you'll see a shape like this, because it was cut from a bulging out surface. It was bulging out, it was like this, and you have cut a shape like this. So if you have taken out from the front, it will be looking circular, but from if you see it sidewise, it will be looking like this. So the inside surface, this surface is called concave surface, and this surface is called convex surface. Okay, this surface which is slightly inside with respect to air, it is called concave, and which is bulging out, it is called convex, right? Now, if we polish the convex surface and the reflection takes place from the concave surface, so this kind of mirror is called concave mirror. This side of mirror is called concave mirror. Okay, and if concave surface is polished and reflection takes place from convex surface, so this mirror is called convex mirror. This mirror is called convex mirror. So concave surface and convex surface, since they are a part of a spherical glass, hollow glass sphere, and that is why they are called spherical mirrors. I hope you are clear with that. Okay, one confusion already, it is a confusion to remember the name. So for that thing, there is a trick. Cave. I hope you know what is cave. Okay, cave is something which is inside. You need to go inside. So basically, whenever there is a cave, the mirror should be inside, and when it is a concave, other is going to be convex only. Okay, so this is how I remember when I used to study, that this is a concave mirror and this is a convex mirror. Okay, so now there are some definitions related to these spherical mirrors. Let us do those definitions. The first definition we are going to study is aperture. What is that aperture? Aperture is the spherical surface through which the reflection takes place. Aperture is a spherical surface through which the reflection takes place. All the inside surface, it is called aperture. Mathematically, when we say size of the aperture, what we say, the diameter of the circular circumference of the mirror is called aperture. So whenever you see aperture is always given in centimeters. So 10 centimeter aperture means when you see its diameter, it will be 10 centimeter. Okay, so this is called aperture. Okay, this is called aperture. The reflecting surface of a mirror is called aperture. Okay, the reflecting surface of the mirror is called aperture. The next definition is pole. The next definition is pole. What is pole? So pole is the center point or the midpoint of the aperture. Center point, this point at the center, it is called pole and it is denoted by capital P. So this is pole. I have made a concave mirror for reference. The third one is center of curvature. Center of curvature. Center of curvature. What is center of curvature? If this is a spherical mirror, obviously it will be a part of a sphere. Obviously it will be a part of a sphere, and that sphere must have a center. That sphere must have a center, right? So the spherical mirror, the center of the sphere of which the mirror is a part. Say this is your center. Say C. Okay, so this C is called center of the curvature. This is the center of the sphere of which the mirror is a part. Okay, this is the center of the sphere of which mirror is a part. The next thing is radius of curvature. What is radius of curvature? Obviously, the radius of the sphere of which the mirror is a part. Here the radius of curvature will be given by PC. The radius of curvature will be given by PC and it is denoted by capital R. So PC is equal to capital R. Fifth thing is principal axis. Principal axis. The straight line which joins pole and the center of curvature. The straight line which joins pole and the center of curvature, that straight line is called principal axis. That straight line is called principal axis. Let me draw it again. Okay, it is called principal axis. Okay, the next thing is very important. Sixth one, focus. Focus is a point on the principal axis. Focus is a point on the principal axis, and the property of that point is whenever rays are coming parallel to the principal axis, whenever the rays are coming parallel to the principal axis and this strikes on the mirror, after getting reflected from the mirror, they pass through a common point, right? They pass through a common point on the mirror. And that very common point on the principal axis is called focus. So this point, this is the common point through which all the reflected rays are passing after getting reflected from the mirror when the incident rays were parallel to the principal axis. So this is the point which is called focus. Okay. In convex mirror, we get a real focus, real point, real intersections. But in convex mirror, say this is your convex mirror. For a convex mirror, its pole is somewhere here. Center of curvature will be somewhere this side, because its sphere will be completed like this. Is it clear? So it's obviously its center of curvature will be lying towards that side. Now, if rays are coming parallel to the principal axis, strikes on the mirror like this, then what happens? After getting reflected from the mirror, let me make the ray diagram. After getting reflected from the mirror, they go like this, as if we extend them behind. If we extend them behind, they pass through a common point virtually. They pass through a common point virtually, and here that focus we find, it is a virtual intersection of the reflected rays. From here you can understand one more thing. The nature of the concave mirror is converging. Converging. And nature of the convex mirror is diverging. As you can see also, the incident rays are converged to a point. The incident rays are diverged. Okay, the incident rays are converged and incident rays are diverged. Okay, So focus is a point on the principal axis at which the reflected rays either intersect each other or appear to intersect each other when the incident rays were parallel to the principal axis. So this is the point on the principal axis. This is denoted by capital F. This is denoted by capital F. Seventh definition is focal length. Focal length. What is that focal length? Focal length is the distance from the mirror to the focus. The distance from the mirror to the focus. From P to F, from P to F. This distance is called focal length. It is denoted by small f. It is denoted by small f. Is it clear? There are some more definitions like focal plane. The perpendicular plane to the principal axis which consists the focus is called focal plane. This plane is called focal plane. This plane is called focal plane. Is it clear? So focal plane is the plane which consists of focus. And the plane is perpendicular to the principal axis. Okay, so these are some definitions. Okay, these are some definitions. You must have studied these definitions in class 10th also, but for a revision, and since we are studying mirrors are there in our syllabus, so I'm just giving a quick revision. What are these definitions? I hope all the definitions are clear. If you have any doubt, let me know. Okay, we will be discussing that definition. Is it clear? So these are the basic terms related to plane mirror. Now we are going to understand the relation between radius of curvature and the focal length. Now let us start. The relation between small f and capital R. What is small f? Small f is focal length. And what is capital R? Capital R is the radius of curvature. Okay. So let me make a ray diagram for that thing. And I am taking concave mirror for reference. Say this is your concave mirror. Let me make it with the red one. Say this is your concave mirror. And this is your principal axis. Say this is your P, this is your center of curvature, right? Okay. Now what happens? A ray of light falls on the principal axis. Let me draw it straight. So this is your pole. Okay. A ray of light falls on the mirror, and it comes parallel to the principal axis like this. Okay. Now, after getting reflection, since it is parallel to the principal axis, by that function it should pass through the focus. So this is your focus. Okay. This is your reflected light. Quite okay. I hope there is no problem with that. Let this point be capital A. That point of incidence is capital A. Now I want to know what is the angle of incidence and what is the angle of reflection. We know in cases of reflection, we have one angle of incidence, we have one angle of reflection. If I want to know the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection in this case, how can I know? For that I need a normal. And for normal, what happens? In case of spherical mirrors or lenses, whenever we want to draw a normal, we draw a straight line from the center of curvature to the point of incidence, and that very straight line will work as a normal. How is it so? You must have studied for a circular shape. At a point, if a tangent is drawn, and on the tangent if perpendicular is drawn, this perpendicular must pass through the center of the sphere. You must have studied that. This is one of the theorems you have studied in class 10th. Okay? On a circular shape, if I draw a tangent and draw a perpendicular on that perpendicular must pass through the center of the sphere. So basically this glass is a part of a sphere. So basically a circle can be made, and center of the circle is this one. So if I want to draw normal over here, so I need to draw tangent, then I need to draw perpendicular. Perpendicular must pass through the center. So here also, if I want to draw the normal, what I do, I just draw a straight line from the center of curvature to the point of incidence. This straight line will work as a normal. So this is going to be the angle of incidence, incident ray and the normal, and this is going to be the angle of reflection, say R. Now if this angle is I, if this angle is I, so this angle is also going to be I only because of alternate interior angles. Say this line and this line are parallel to each other and this line is intersecting. So that angle is alternate interior angles. Now just see, in the triangle, which triangle I am talking about? I am talking about triangle CAF. CAF. The angle ACF is equal to angle ACF is equal to FAC. Why is it so? Because ACF is equal to what? It is equal to I and it is equal to R. This is the laws of reflection. This is the law of reflection. Angle of incidence must be equal to angle of reflection. So basically this triangle CAF is, so this triangle is isosceles. And if this triangle is isosceles, it simply means that its side, which side? In front of I it is FA must be equal to, in front of R, FC. So FA must be equal to FC. This is your equation number 1. This is your equation number 1. Very good. Now just see, in the very beginning I have told you that since we are studying the first order geometrical optics, and the first order geometrical optics, I have told you all the rays we consider is paraxial. So the incident ray is paraxial. Since incident ray is paraxial, and why, when it is paraxial, what is the difference it makes? It simply indicates that therefore PA is very small. PA is very small. And when PA is very small, you can conclude that PF is approximately equal to AF. PF is approximately equal to AF. Okay? AF or FA? FA I have written. Let me write AF. AF. Okay? PF is approximately equal to AF. How is it so? Here it is not visible that FA should be greater than PF. Okay? From the diagram it is visible. But what I am saying is, this ray is very close to the axis. I have not made very close because I have to show that those angles. So basically I have made it a bit far, but this in reality, when we practically observe this, for practically, if you want to apply these things, so this ray needs to be paraxial, it needs to be very close. And when this PA is very closed, this side is equal to that side. How that happens? Let me give you an example. Suppose a right angle triangle is there. Okay, suppose a right angle triangle is there. Let this side be 10 centimeter and let this side be 1 mm. Okay, let this side be 10 centimeter. 10 centimeter is not a very big distance, but 1 mm is quite small in relation with the 10 centimeter. So if I want to calculate that hypotenuse, what will be its hypotenuse now? So its hypotenuse, say it is A, it is B, it is C. So its hypotenuse AC will be under root. If 10 centimeter is converted into millimeters, it will be 100. So 100 square plus 1 is square. When we solve 100, we will have 10,000. 1 is 1 only. So it will be 10,001. And if I take the square root of 10,001, it is approximately equal to 10. Sorry, if I take the square root of 10,001, it will be approximately equal to 100 point something something, then some numbers will come. So basically it will be approximately equal to 100 mm only, which is equal to 10 centimeter. So this side and this side, they becomes almost equal if this side is very small. Same thing is happening over here. PA is very small, and since it is very small, PF is approximately equal to AF. So I am just replacing this AF by PF. So what I am going to have, I am removing these things. These are not required. So what happens? So from equation number 1, just see, AF is being replaced by PF. So PF is equal to FC. That PF is focal length. FC can be written as PC minus PF. Now PF is transferred over this side, so it will be added. It will be 2PF is equal to PC. Now PF is focal length, so 2F is equal to R. PC is radius of curvature. So F is going to be what? R by 2. So this is the relation between focal length and the radius of curvature. In case of spherical mirrors, it holds. But for this equation to be hold good in case of a spherical mirror, this condition is being applied. Incident rays paraxial. If rays are not paraxial, they are marginal ones. Then what will happen? Then this relation will not hold. For those rays, this relation will not hold. And all the calculations are based on this relation only. In class 12th, I have already told we are studying first order geometrical optics, and first order geometrical optics, rays needs to be paraxial because all the formulas are going to be driven on the basis of this one only, going to be derived on the basis of this. Is it clear? So this is the relation between focal length and the radius of curvature. You need to pause the screen, you need to note down, okay, from the screen, and this is the ray diagram you need to make. One more thing, in ray optics, you need to make the ray diagrams very clear. If you don't make the ray diagrams clear, your numbers will be deducted. Okay, ray diagrams are the soul of these chapters, Ray diagrams are soul of this chapter. You need to make the ray diagrams in a very neat and clean manner. So just use compass, use a scale, use pencil. Don't be ashamed of using pencil because you are a 12th student and now you're grown up and you need not to use pencil. Okay, use pencil. There is no matter. Just make the ray diagrams very clear. Is it clear? Try to make it a bit big. When I see the copies of a student, I find that the ray diagrams they make very small. So these angles are not visible what they are writing. Either it is very congested, all the letters are trying to overlap each other. So don't make the ray diagrams like that. Make it a bit big so that all the angles are clear and we can see the angles very clearly. So this is the derivation, okay. You need to write this derivation in your copy. Pause the screen and note down. Make the notes while watching the lectures. It will help you to revise the things. Okay, it will be helping you revise the things. So let us stop here also for today. Let this be all for the day. One more thing I want you to do, just go through the ray diagrams what you have done in the class 10th. Okay, in the next video lecture we'll see the image formation by a concave mirror and convex mirror, and for that thing you have already studied in class 10th. Just go through those ray diagrams, although I am going to tell all the ray diagrams, but if you just go through once, it will be easier to understand. Okay, it will be easier to understand, but just go through that. Okay, but just go through that, and we'll be doing this ray diagrams in the next video lecture. Till then, just try to be present in the online lectures. Okay, on those lectures will go on with this continuity, and very soon I am going to be like that ki whatever taught in the online lecture, whatever taught will be the online lecture, it will be whatever will be taught in the online lecture, the same thing will be revised in the video lecture. Okay, very soon I am going to reach that. So till now, and one more thing, numericals, very few we have done in this video lectures. So try to solve numericals also from the copy. Okay, so let us say this is all for the day, and in the next video lecture we'll studying ray diagram. Okay, thank you and be safe.